Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Becca and today I'm talking about my August wrap-up and my September TBR. Let's start with my August wrap-up. I read 10 books in August, which was my goal. I feel like I got a lot going on in August, to be honest. And I think just taking it easy and reading a lot of romance was what I needed. So that's what I did. Of the 10 books I read, 2 of them were not romance. And those 2 were picture books. So the 2 picture books I read, I'm reading, trying to select a book that I want to send one of my coworkers for her baby shower. So I'm reading picture books before I send one because I want to make sure that's the one that I want to send. So that's why I'm reading picture books. Not that there's anything wrong with reading picture books regularly, especially if you have a young person in your life or you have somebody who is about to have a baby, you know? So I count them because that author and artist took a very long time to create them. So there you go. Okay, I did something really crazy in August, something that I don't even know if I've ever done this. I read an entire series back to back. I don't know that I've ever done that before. Just because I don't typically like series and I get really bored with them quickly. And I mean, by the 4th one, I was kind of like, okay, let's just get this one done, okay? So there is that. But, so I read an entire series. I'd say all but 4 of the books were recommendations that I got from other YouTubers or book talkers, because I've been a little bit obsessed with book talk lately. Like, I just feel like I'm getting a lot of good recommendations for like dark romance. So if you're into dark romance or you want to find out more about dark romance and what's out there, I would definitely recommend Book Talk, because there are a lot of book talkers who are just talking about like really dark romance, and I'm all for it. Okay, so all but the picture books and one other book I read as an ebook and got them from Kindle Unlimited. So this was a very high Kindle Unlimited reading month, like a lot of Kindle Unlimited. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into it and go ahead and let's just talk about the books that I read in August. The first book I read was Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This is actually my second chance with this book. I had started reading it. I did like a Kindle Unlimited reading vlog a while ago and I had started reading it then and I didn't really like it at that point. But I kept hearing about it, and it was all over Book Talk, and I was just like, maybe I should just give it a second chance, and I did. And I actually really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. The setup of this book is that this girl and her boyfriend move in with the boyfriend's dad because they get evicted from their apartment or something like that, and they're just like really low on money, and they just need a place to live rent-free until they can get back on their feet, which, I mean, it's really nice that they have that option, you know? But anyway, the premise of the book is that the main character starts falling in love with her boyfriend's dad. The girl and her boyfriend do break up, so it's not like it's not weird in that way. But I really liked this book just because, like, with that age gap romance, I feel like a lot of age gap romances can be kind of cheesy, cringy, and just, like, not realistic at all. This one was. Like, this is something that I could actually see happening. So that's one reason I really liked it. This is, I don't know which book this is, like, in order of writing for Penelope Douglas, but this is I think this is the second book that I've read by her, and I was very surprised by how not dark this book is. I feel like, I'm pretty sure all of her other books are pretty dark, and this one it's not dark at all to me. I mean, I guess it depends on, like, if you only read like fluffy romances like that are traditionally published, you might find this a little dark, but other than that, it's not really. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I felt like there was really good tension between the 2 characters, and the problem of the novel was realistic, and it worked. So I'm not mad at it, and yeah, 4 stars. The next book I read was The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. This is the 3rd book in her series that I don't know that has a name. Does it have a name? I can't think of it, but the first one was The Kiss Quotient, then there was The Bride Test, and then The Heart Principle. So far, The Bride Test is still my favorite. I liked it more than The Kiss Quotient. I feel horrible, but like The Heart Principle is probably my least favorite. Not that it wasn't good. I still really enjoyed it. Like, I like all of these books. But if I were to put them in order of favorite, The Heart Principle would come last. So the setup with this book is our main character is kind of... She's in this relationship with this guy who she thinks she's going to marry, but they don't have like a really strong relationship. Although I don't know that she realizes that in the beginning. And so the guy is kind of an asshole and is like, you know what? I'm gonna marry you, but before I do, I want to make sure. You know, I want to get it all out of my system now so that when we marry, I don't have to cheat on you, blah, 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 okay? So he suggests an open relationship and she doesn't want to, like, completely lose him, so she agrees with it. And she is not very comfortable in, like, with her sexuality, just in general. And so she is going to take the opportunity to have a one-night stand and try to figure out stuff, you know? And it doesn't go so well for her. And so, like, she meets Quan, he's the brother... I can't remember all of the relationships, but he's in the other two books. Michael, who is the main male character in The Kiss Quotient, they're best friends. Like, business partners. So, Quan is the guy that she ends up trying to have a one-night stand with, and it's like, third time's the charm. It takes them a while to get there. But they start to form a really good bond, and then shit happens. Not with them. Basically, our main character, she's been going to therapy. Her therapist kind of feels that she may be on the autism spectrum, and so our main character is like shocked, but then she reads about it and she feels seen for the first time, which is fantastic. But her family is very traditional in that they don't believe that therapy does anything, and that it's, you know, for people who are crazy, and they're not supportive at all. Like, her older sister is terrible and says that, like, how dare you call yourself autistic? You're taking away from people who are actually autistic, blah, blah, blah. And so, like, she has, like, really hard family life, and then something happens where she ends up becoming a nurse for her father, basically, and this is a hard book. This is nothing like the other two, and that is kind of my issue with it. Not that she told the story. If she wanted to tell the story, I commend her for that, because she said it's kind of autobiographical for her as well. And I 100% respect that, but, like, the cover, for one, is so misleading. Like, she looks, like, flirty, and the Heart Principle, like, it sounds like it's going to be, like, similar to the first and second books, where it's going to be, like, a flirty romance with some form of, like, some, like, hard-hitting contemporary theme, but that doesn't, like, the romance is still the main focus in the first two books. The romance is not the main focus in this book. I would not call this a romance novel at all. Just because there's romance in it doesn't make it a romance novel, and that is my issue with it, that I feel like it's very misleading. Not that it makes it bad. It doesn't. It's still a great book. I read this book in one day. It's so good. It's such a good book. But I was a little disappointed that the romance took such a back seat to it. And also, Quan, who is the main character, while he does have his own storyline, I don't feel like it was developed enough, and I feel like it kind of hurt the novel. So, it is a very hard-hitting contemporary theme. I would definitely check trigger warnings for this book, because it is a hard read. And it's just like the cover is so misleading, and I don't want people to look at this cover and like, oh, this is going to be a fun, fluffy romance. It is not. It is not. So check your trigger warnings. I highly recommend it, though. It's still a very good book. And then next, quickly, the two picture books that I read You Are New by Lucy Knisely and Dream Big Little One, the author being Vashti Harrison, and they're both absolutely adorable books. I still haven't decided which one I'm sending her. Good thing her baby shower got rescheduled. So, yeah, they're adorable. If you have a baby, or if you're gonna have a baby, check them out. Yeah. And then we come to the series that I read, 4-book series. This is a reverse harem romance series. So the series is the Madison Kate series, and it's by Tate James. And the books in order are Hate, Liar, Fake, and Kate. So I would give probably the first 3 books 4 stars. If I gave half ratings, I might give the first one a 3.5, but I don't give half ratings, so it's a 4. And then the last book I'm definitely giving 3 stars. This series, it's not just about romance. It's very heavily like a mystery kind of, like a suspense, because the setup for this book I think it's fun, and this is definitely it's a dark romance for sure. So Madison Kate, our main character, in the very beginning, she is kind of set up by these 3 guys to get arrested for a crime she did not commit. She ends up serving some time for it and then is shipped across the world to Cambodia, where her aunt lives. I think it's Cambodia, I don't remember. And then once she finally is able to come home, where she's going to be like starting college, she goes, to her father's mansion to find out that those 3 guys are now living at her house. It's a wild ride. There are a lot of twists and turns, and it was very entertaining. The 4th book, again, it's kind of like, it's just like a long series, and at that point it was kind of just getting like, okay, I get it. The twist at the end I thought was kind of a little too convenient. I was expecting it to go in a different way, and like I'm glad it didn't go in that way, because that was gonna hurt, but I feel like it would have made it more interesting, to be honest. So it's a fun series, highly unrealistic. It's I feel like a lot of it is kind of like, first of all, Madison Kate is kind of dumb a lot. If this were a horror novel, she'd be the first one dead, because she's the type of character who's making like the dumbest decisions, where you're just like, why? Why did you decide to do that? I knew that it was going to end in that way. So, of course, not her fault. Obviously, if people are trying to kill her, that's not her fault. But still, like, this could have been completely, avoided by a different decision, a smarter decision. It's funny too, because one of the characters, I think maybe in the 3rd book, he says to her, make smart decisions, and she does not. And if I were to choose a favorite of the male main characters, I would say Steele. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think the majority of people who read this series agrees with me. And I think he's also Madison Kate's favorite, to be honest. But yeah, so this series as a whole, I guess, if I did an average, the series would come out to a 3.75 total, which I think is a pretty strong rating, and I stick with that. Like I said, it's fun and it's completely ridiculous, but it kept me hooked, obviously, because I finished a 4-book series in like 4 days. And let me tell you, these books are not short. I think the shortest one was probably 450 pages. So they're very long, and I finished them all in like a 4-day span during my work week. Like, that's how good they were. They just drew me in, and I did nothing else but read those books in those 4 days. Something else that I kind of want to mention about the Madison Kate series, and this is just a pet peeve of mine, and it's just like, most of the time it's just like whatever, but in this series, like, non-stop driving me insane. I really find it annoying when people overuse and I, like she and I, or like, when they're referring to something like, and I is not correct 100% of the time, and people overuse it because they think it is, which is fine. Like, I'm not trying to be like grammar police, like, whatever. I just hate that people use it because they think it's right, rather than it just being natural. And the author, Tate James, she did it every time. She used it every single time. And that bugs me, because, like, you're a published author. Yes, you are self-published, but, like, if you cannot edit enough to realize that you're using this incorrectly, to the point that you're doing it incorrectly every single time, that's not okay to me. Like, it's very annoying. And it was so glaringly obvious to me, and it was so annoying. And again, like, this is just something that bothers me. Of course, it might not bother other people. And, like, for me, I tend to say and me more often than I say and I, because I don't care about being wrong. I think people don't want to be judged or sound stupid for being wrong, so they just overuse it because they think it's right more often than it is. So quick grammar lesson if you're interested. The correct time to use and I, just take out the other person's name or the she. If I sounds right by itself, then you can use and I. That's the simple way to use it. So like, I'm thinking of a name. Mark and I went to the store. You take out Mark. I went to the store sounds right. So you would say Mark and I. Okay, because it's the subject, not the object. So like, if you say Lyssa baked a cake for Mark and I, would you say Lyssa baked a cake for I? No, you would say Lyssa baked a cake for me. So it would be Lyssa baked a cake for Mark and me. Okay? Again, it's not a big deal to most people. It's just something that really annoys me. Especially like in a 4-book series that it's over like 2,000 pages in total, and she does it wrong every single time. Which is just a little frustrating to me. But then again, I am a nerd, and I really like grammar. I took Latin, and that's like all grammar right there. So there you go. Little rant over. I apologize for anyone who might have felt attacked by this. I am not my intention. It's just something that I wanted to share. Moving on. The next book was another recommendation from Book Talk, and this one was a fail. I read Afterlife by Stephanie Hudson, and by the cover, just throw it out there. What do you think this series is about? If I told you it's a paranormal series, what does that make you think of? Vampires? Yes! Also me. But no. And maybe it was my fault. Maybe it says it in the description what it's actually about. But no, it's about angels and demons, and I hate the majority of books about angels. Like, I don't care. Like, the only book that I can think of most recently that I read that had the angel thing in it was Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, and it only worked because he was a fallen angel. And then, like, Cassandra Clare, the fact that they're all angels, like, I don't like it. The only angel that I like is Castiel, okay? Anywho, I don't like angels. Anyway, so I was a little disappointed in that. And then I was also very disappointed because the person who, you know, talked about this book, like, just went on and on about how great it was. The writing in this book is awful. I don't want to be mean, but this, and I don't want to drag down fan fiction, because there are some fan fictions that are very well written. This is like bad fan fiction writing. Like, and I'm assuming this is her first book, and if that's the case, it's not a bad thing, especially because it's self-published. You know, I don't blame her for that, as long as, you know, she grows in her craft. So maybe the rest of the series gets better. I don't know what I will continue. It's 12 books. And I'm pretty sure they're all with the same main character, and I cannot do that. Oh my god. So basically, man, I can't even really think much about, like, what this book is about. Like, it's kind of forgettable to me at the same time. The main character, okay, now I remember. She moves from London or England to, I want to say, like, Northwest America. I don't remember. Because of things, which you find out later in the book. And she ends up going to college, which the person, like, either they didn't go to college or they went to a very strange college, because, like, the way that it worked, I was like, this is very weird. This is not what college is like. But anyway, I mean, I guess it could, like, I don't know if she's English, then maybe, like, English university is more like that, but that's not how college is in America. Anyway, which it's fine. It's just like another fan fiction-y thing that it made me think of. Another thing that fan fiction does that kind of really frustrates me is, this happens in like the majority of fan fiction that I've read, fan fiction authors, I feel like they think they need to make it a lot of variation in the way that they describe the main characters. So instead of saying like the character's name, they'll say like the boy with the blue eyes or something stupid like that. And they do it so often and it drives me crazy. Like, use their freaking name. Read an actual book and you will realize that the majority of the time that the author is referring to the character, they use their name, or he or she or they, you know? So that just is something that's really annoying to me. And I feel like she did it a lot. So, overall, I do not recommend this book. It wasn't very good. The writing was not very good. It's kind of strange too, because like it reads like a middle grade, like the writing style reads like what you would expect like an 8th or 9th grader to read. 8th grade or 9th grade, like YA kind of thing. But then this is a romance, like a paranormal romance, adult romance. Like, there are adult scenes, which I mean is fine for an 8th or 9th grade. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, kids shouldn't read about sex. It just came off very weird for me to like feel like this is very young YA writing style into sex scenes. It was just very strange and I did not like it. So I gave this book 2 stars only because there were some aspects of it that were okay. It wasn't terrible. So there you go. And then the last book that I read in August, read during my trip to the beach. It was fantastic. The trip, not the book. I read Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. This is the 3rd book I've read by QB Tyler. The other 2 being like age gap romances that were completely different from this one. This one I would say is definitely more like less, it's not taboo in any way. So if you don't like taboo like age gap romances, then this one, if you were to read a QB Tyler book, would be the one that you would want to read. So basically, our 2 main characters are in the middle of getting a divorce. And the male main character gets into a car accident, I think, and he suffers from a very traumatic brain injury where he doesn't remember, like, the past 2 years. So he doesn't remember all of their marital issues. And he thinks that they still have this, like, whirlwind romance where they're still deeply in love with each other, and he's very confused when he wakes up, and she doesn't even want to look at him. So it's very emotional in that way, and I will say that I enjoyed this book, but it was very boring at points. Like, it could have been, like, she could have gone, compared to her other books, could have gone further. It was very predictable. Like, obviously it's a romance novel, they're gonna end up together. But yeah, it was kind of just a little bit boring when it came to the actual plot. So for me, I guess you could call this a little bit dark. I wouldn't necessarily call it dark, but if you like The Vow by Nicholas Sparks, I would highly recommend reading this one instead because I don't support Nicholas Sparks. Anywho, so yeah. This is also and this also has an interracial couple. I think all of her books, there's one of them that I'm not entirely sure if it's an interracial couple, but the other 2 that I've read I know are. But yeah, so it's a good, I like her writing style, and I liked, because they kind of go back and forth with like flashbacks of, you know, then and now kind of thing, and like how they ended up there. So I mean, it was good. It was just like a little boring to me, especially after I read the Madison Kate series where there was a lot of drama. And this was like noticeably less drama, although like this is a lot of drama for someone's life. Just like compared to that series, it was like kind of tame. So that's why I felt like it was just a little on the boring side for me. So those were all of the books that I read in September. Kind of a good reading month for me because I read a lot of romance. So yeah, I enjoyed it. And now I want to go ahead and jump into my September TBR. First, going through the books that I am currently reading. Still reading Anna Karenina by Leah Tolstoy. I started The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which is a fae fantasy. I think there's romance in here. I don't know, but yeah. It's okay so far. I don't like the main character. And then I'm reading The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin for my book club, and currently only 10 pages in. Book club's next Saturday, so gotta get the move on with that one. I like it. I don't like the audiobook, so I'm not going to continue with the audiobook. So that is what I'm currently reading. And then some other books that I am reading. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This is a romance novel where the main character is kind of a socialite and is forced to go back to her hometown to kind of take care of things and be a responsible adult. And then romance. I really like it so far. I think it's kind of, an aspect of it is a little unbelievable for me, but that doesn't bother me at all in romance. But yeah, it's fun so far, and that's all that matters, right? I'm also planning on reading Isn't It Bromantic by Lyssa Adams, which is the 4th book in her romance book club series. Didn't love the last one, so I'm hoping this one is better. And I feel like the cover just like really is fall kind of, so I think it'll be the perfect transition novel into the fall. And then the other books on my physical TBR, I have quite a few. The Vanishing Half by Bennet. I don't know that I really need to explain what this book is about. I think we all kind of know what it is. But it's basically about these two twins. I think they're twins. Are they twins? Yes, twins, who grow up in this southern black community, and they run away at the age of 16, and I think they're mixed. I don't remember. I think that they are fairly light-skinned though, so enough for one of the twins to pass as white, and the other one decides to pass as black, and so it's kind of I think they come back together at some point, and it's kind of just like about their lives and how that affected them. So I think it's going to be interesting. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I'm really excited to read it. And then I also feel like this would be a good transition book into fall season. So I want to read Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is a post-apocalyptic novel. I know that there's a Hollywood a production company that kind of settles together. They were producing King Lear. But anyway, they call themselves the Traveling Symphony, and they have dedicated themselves to keeping the remnants of art and humanity alive. So we'll see. I think just like the tents and the camping, it makes me think of fall, and that's why I think it'll be a good transition novel, but it might not be at all. Who knows? And then another one that I am excited to read as a kind of transition into spooky season, I'm going to read The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, which I'm super excited to read. This has been on my TBR for a while, and I'm really excited. This is, I really like this cover, and it's also got some illustrations, which is fun. This is a middle grade novel, so I'm excited to read it. And then the last, and then I've also got this book that I'm going to be reading. I have to finish it early October for my library book club. We're reading The Book of Delights by Ross Gay. If you live in Maryland, there is a program called One Maryland, One Book. It's by the Maryland Humanities, and they choose a book every September to read together. October, and I think the author will be coming to some discussions or signings or something, I don't know, but we're reading it for my book club, and I'm excited. It's a book of essays. I think this is such a cute little book too, and I got it for free as part of the book club, so that's nice. But yeah, I'm gonna start reading it soon. There's a lot. It's just very short essays. I think he wrote a lot of it during the pandemic. No, it came out in 2019. Okay, so this was definitely pre-pandemic. But the first line, it says, over one tumultuous year, so must be referring to something else. I don't know. Also, this book has a weird texture on it, and I'm not a fan of that, but I have to get over that. And then the last book that I know for sure that I'll be reading in September, I won't finish it in September, but I'll be reading it in September, it will be my personal book club book. We have book club next Saturday, and I don't pick the next book. I don't remember who does, but whatever that book is, I'll also be reading in September. Okay, and thank you for watching this really long video. Probably. I feel like I chatted a lot. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Let me know how your reading went in August and how excited you are for fall. Put down a little fall leaf emoji in the comments. And let me know what you're reading to transition into the wonderful fall season. Again, thanks for watching. I'm gonna finish drinking my pumpkin latte. And I'll see you later. Bye.